Hey, this is Rob Swanson with the Real Estate Mogul Show. Let's get into it. All right, what's up, everybody? Rob Swanson back here with another episode of the Real Estate Mogul Show. Hey, we are back in the studio, and we are doing this thing virtual again. Just like the last show, we are distributed, and we're making this thing come to life with 4 boxes on your screen from different offices and different locations. So here we are. We're going to dive in, and we're going to be talking about vision casting and looking forward and figuring out what does it mean when you hit the end of a quarter. And, the last show we talked a little bit about kind of reflection and looking back and celebrating your wins and talking about what happened. This show, we're going to be talking about looking forward, because if you are always looking in the rearview mirror, you're always going to go slower than you should. And so you've got to reflect. You've got to ask the questions, what's the win? You've got to celebrate, and then you've got to put the gas pedal down, and you got to go forward. And you can only go forward when you have a destination in mind, and you've got to know where you're trying to get to. So that's a big piece of what this show is about, helping people see and build and cast and understand a vision for what is possible through the vehicle of real estate investing, which we are all big fans of. And hopefully listening to this show, you are also a big fan of it. So with all of that said, let's jump into this and welcome the crew in the studio. What's going on, guys?
Hey.
Yo.
I'll start it off. I'll tell you one thing I'm excited about now that it's fall.
I like it.
So we went over the weekend. We went up to this super secret spot that Rob and I know about in Poudre Canyon. We won't disclose it, but the leaves are turning. The whole state of Colorado is on the trees look like they're on fire. The aspens are changing. It's my favorite time of the year, just to be outside. The weather's good. It's hoodie season, and this is when fishing gets really good. And I'm excited for fall fishing on all the rivers out here. I cannot wait. So yeah, that's what I got.
Fall fishing is awesome.
Fall fishing is awesome.
And Henry, didn't you told me this morning that you went up to our little super secret spot twice in the last, week or 2 weeks?
And every weekend progressively getting better and better. So yeah.
Yeah, we won't tell anybody. We'll tell Mike. We would tell Joe, but he doesn't care. We'll tell Mike.
Hey,
because he can go slay the fish on that river.
I might take the camera up there.
I'm gonna, Rob and Henry and Joe, I'll send it to you too. But a guy that Henry and I've watched a little bit has a YouTube channel. Posted a video yesterday. He catches a 36-inch, probably an 18 to 20 pound brown trout. Wow. I'll send it to you.
Dang,
it is insane big.
Dang, that's crazy. Well, what you guys don't know yet, and I guess on the heels of this conversation, I too am looking forward to the fall fishing season, and I am heading up at the end of this week, and I think we're going up, and then we're coming back on Saturday. We're going up Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week. We're going to go up to Gray's Reef and the Miracle Mile up in Wyoming, and so myself and a couple buddies, and they've all fished that area before. I've never fished this stretch, but they have. They got some experience there. They know the waters, and so we're gonna go up there and camp for a couple of nights and fish some pretty epic fly fishing runs in Wyoming.
So we fish, or a main gold medal is South Platte here in Colorado. I'm pretty sure the Miracle Mile is North Platte, right? Is it the North Platte section? Of the wild? Yeah, that's really cool. I'm excited for you.
Yep, it'll be fun. Mike, Joe, what are you guys up to?
Is there going to be much hiking, like in or out of where you're going, Rob?
It depends on if the guys that have told me about it do their hiking and approach analysis like Henry does, or if they're truthful about it. So
it's a great point.
Yeah. Fair.
I'm glad you're bringing this up again.
Yeah. Hey
Yeah.
guys, it's an easy approach. It's like 5 minutes.
5 minutes from the parking lot.
58 minutes later.
I like how this just got 13 minutes added onto the story. I love it. It's going to be an evolution.
Yeah. By the time we tell this story again, 97 minutes later.
Right. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, this the time from the car to the river is growing faster than the fish that Henry catches when he tells us stories about them.
Yeah, but the memories and the time we spent together can't forget
Priceless.
true.
That's right. Priceless.
That is true. These are memories. These are memories with friends that I will have for the rest of my life.
And now it makes for a great story. Henry, if you would have been honest, it wouldn't be funny.
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, you can either give me a little update, Mike and Joe.
Yeah, I've got a
we'll
quick
dive
one.
into this vision thing.
we're going to go play up in the mountains in the fall too this weekend, which would be really fun with my wife and kiddos. But Rob, you mentioned casting vision, not looking backwards. And I've never designed a car, but I've driven a handful. And I noticed that the windshield is huge and the rear view mirror is small. And my hunch is because when you're in a certain location and you desire to go to another location, you should spend most of your time looking through the windshield and not the rear view mirror. I think that's why they're built that way. So I feel like that's maybe
We got to
an
change Mike's
analogy
name
for where we're going.
Mike's name, especially off of the last podcast. It made me think. Mike's name needs to be updated to the Sultan of Psychology. He's just
Yeah.
he just gives the one-liners, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking like the Sultan of Psychology, like Money Mike Snyder. Like,
Yeah.
I think we could get there. Yeah.
Mindset Mike.
So Manny was talking to a guy, and he's in one of our training programs that we call Kickstart. And this guy sent Manny an email, and he said, and this is funny. This is weird bringing up, but he said, "Man, that Mike, that guy's butter." And so Manny started calling me butter last week.
Yes, I love it.
Which is I shouldn't even be talking about this because that is not a great name to go by, but
No, that's butter. No, that's
he's been
totally. There's
It's smooth. It's smooth. Smooth
Exactly.
like butter.
It's
It's smooth like butter.
butter.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's gotten a bit awkward around here when Manny calls me butter.
Oh man, I'm gonna be on this train, Mike, for sure. This one's definitely going.
Yeah, we're not letting this one slide.
No, pun intended, Rob.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm still out in California, but I'll tell you what, between the mindset talk that we have here at work, and just sort of thinking through planning for the fourth quarter and beyond that, and man, just enjoying family, and the people that I'm staying with, my son's mom and her husband, dude, they are motivated to work out and they are solid on a schedule, and it's just like, it's inspiring. I came from one inspiring place to another inspiring place. And so, just ramping up the workouts and, just thinking about what I'm eating. And so, yeah, it's good. Inspired
Nice.
all around. Yeah.
I like it. What you guys don't know is that I just sent Mike a Slack that is
Here we go.
some lady sitting on a stick of butter, and it's just like flashing these bright lights. It's like I'm gonna have to switch my Slack screen because my eyes are going like buggy right now.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let's do this. Let's talk about. Let's jump in and talk a little bit about looking through the windshield and not getting stuck in the rearview mirror, because I think Mike brings up a really good point, right? If you get stuck in the rearview mirror and you're spending all of your time focused on this hyper small little window that's always looking backwards, you're always telling yourself stories about what was in the past rather than building the life by design and casting the vision for what you want. And so this is something that I've done for 20 some years. It's something that I've tried to build as a culture within my own family. And so let's talk about it. Let's talk about it here, because the culture of building a vision and living life by design is truly a culture of decision, because it doesn't happen naturally for most people.
Right.
You have to decide to build a life by design. And so when we talk about life by design, what does that mean? And it means that you get to live your life the way you want to live your life. Now, somebody's going to argue and say, yeah, but if you're 5'1", you can't be an NBA player. If your vision is to be an NBA player and you got the short stick and you're 5'1", it's not going to happen. Is it? Who's Mike? You know the name of the guy. What's the name of the guy that's the 5'1" NBA player?
Muggsy. Yeah, Muggsy Bogues.
Muggsy. That's right.
Yeah.
So maybe it can happen, right? But here's the thing. Most people are going to cast a vision around two categories of life, or two areas of life. One, personal vision. What do you want personally? And two, vocation. So within your work or business. And then you're going to find the tentacles that connect those two things. But what I always like to do is I like to break it apart, and I like to say, okay, on the personal side, what do I want? How do I want my life to show up? And what do I want my life to be like? And then what I do is I say, on the business side, what has to happen to make the personal a reality?
Yeah.
Too often, real estate investors, entrepreneurs, business owners do the opposite. They build a business, and then they get whatever's left over in their personal life. And they build a business. Have you guys ever heard this? People build a business. And look, we hear it all the time, because when people want to pursue real estate investing, it's oftentimes because they want to get out of something else.
Mm-hmm.
And so people have built a business that doesn't serve their life. They're tied to it. There's not enough margin in it. It's too complicated. The regulations change, yada, yada, yada. There's story after story after story of why their business is no longer and is not serving what they want personally. And so what I encourage people to do is, don't say, I'm going to take the leftovers in my life and go build a business so that I can get what I want in life, because oftentimes that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Figure
out what you want in life, and then vocationally begin to do the things that are going to serve and build that, while protecting the personal side the entire time. So let me bounce it to you guys, because I could go down the rabbit trail on this and talk for hours on this subject, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this topic from a vision planning, a vision casting, a Q4 forward-looking plan. What comes to mind when we throw this topic onto the docket?
For me, again, like the last podcast and kind of like the rearview mirror, we kind of hit on it. It's somewhat beneficial to celebrate your wins and try to figure out what worked and then what didn't work and what adjustments you want to make. And my vision casting tends to be more on figuring out what worked and then try to hit the copy paste button. Basically, is what I'm focusing on in Q4. I know what worked for me and what allowed me to purchase my rentals in Q3. And, I had an overarching year goal for 5 rentals before the end of the year. I still think that's very doable. So Q4 is just continuing off of the re-engineering of the whole year goal, and then focusing back on Q3 and saying, what worked, what didn't work, and what do I need to change or keep doing into Q4 to make sure that that goal is accomplished. kind of, I don't know how many podcasts ago it was, Rob, but I know what 5 rentals takes, right? Because that's the copy paste button. So then I can say, well, to do that, how much wholesaling or how much cash generation I need to do, and also have X amount of money in reserve per rental or per door, right? To accomplish 3 more, right? So I can reverse engineer starting into Q4 to accomplish that goal.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And let's take it beyond just the goal, because that's very tactical, right?
Yeah.
You can buy 3 more rentals, easy money, right? So you buy 3 more rentals, you got 5 rentals, and I always tell people, if you're going to buy 1 rental, plan to buy 10, because you don't start to enjoy the benefits of a portfolio and scale and sort of the blending of the good and the bad until you get to about 10. And so outside of the tactical thing of I can buy 1, 2, 3 more rentals, what does that get you? Like, why is that on your vision board? Like, what is it about 5 this year that gets you excited?
Yeah, that's a great question. It has nothing to do with 5 as representative of like an accomplishment, right? It has everything to do with, I've seen what 2 feels like as far as freedom goes, and I selfishly want more of that. I want to be able to say and feel that my passive income outweighs my expenses, right? So that I am picked up out of that, that ever going, feast and famine feeling. I can let rentals passively pay me, basically. And what that allows me to do is, live the life that I aspire to live, right? I have certain things that I'm accustomed to that I have fun doing. And I like knowing and having the feeling that I can go and do that whenever I want. I can enjoy that with my wife, my friends, whenever I want. And then eventually what that allows me to start, adopting in the mindset is I can start sharing this with other people that don't have it, basically. So giving donations, stuff like that, being a part of charities is something that I'm really passionate about. So that unlocks me to be able to share that with the rest of the world. Yeah.
And it's interesting because, many people are wired to give, be charitable, to help others, right? Many people are wired to do that. And a lot of times people, especially sort of in the real estate investor education kind of guru space, right? People look at a guru and say, they just want my money, right? And the reality is, and you just hit it, when you start to taste how good freedom feels and how good the vehicle of real estate can be towards building that freedom, it is really motivating to share that with others and to give it to others and to let others experience it. And then people say, well, if it's so good, why don't you just do it for free? And I'll tell people why. Because what I have learned over the years is that when you give it away for free, people don't value it and they don't take the action. And so I spend a whole bunch of time being really motivated and excited and jazzed about teaching something to somebody that's not going to take any action. And so the small investment that people make in themselves is that statement that says, I'm willing to invest what I have today for the future that I want. And now we know who's real and who's not lying to themselves about their true goals and their true desires. And so the point that I'm making here is that when you start to taste it and have it and experience it, you want others to have it too, because it is an amazing feeling. Life by design. We started this whole thing with, what does it mean to live life by design? And how can somebody actually do that? Mike, what are your thoughts, Sultan of Psychology?
Here we go.
Yeah, drop us.
Yeah, I was thinking about I think a lot of times for people, it's easy to write down what they want. And I want to encourage people to write down why they want it, even more so than what. And I remember hearing a story from a guy years ago, and he was carrying some extra weight. He wanted to lose weight. And so he had tried, diet after diet after diet. Nothing worked. Well, he had kids, and I can't remember if I read this story or if I heard the guy tell this story. I don't remember. It's from a long time ago, but here's the point of the story. He asked his little girl, and I think she was about to have her 6th or 7th birthday, something like that. And he said, "Sweetheart, what do you want for your birthday?" And she said, "Daddy, I want you to take me horseback riding." And he knew at that moment, he kind of had a oh crap moment, because he knew in his current physical condition, there's no chance that I'm getting on a horse.
Mm-hmm.
And her birthday was like 6 months out, right? But he had asked her ahead of time, which is really common. I mean, our kids do this all the time, right? It's the day after their birthday, and they're thinking, "Daddy, for my next birthday, I want this," right? So this is how it goes with kids, with young kids. And so now his desire to lose weight had been there for decades.
Yeah.
But now he was all of a sudden given a really good reason. Mm-hmm. And what happened over the next 6 months? He lost the weight and took his daughter horseback riding. So there's this old saying that says change is hard, and it's not, if a compelling reason is present. If there's no compelling reason in your life on why to do something different, change is hard. I agree with the statement. As soon as there's a compelling reason, not only will people find that change isn't hard, but I think a lot of people on the other end of it would say it's easy. And so to find the desire for what we want is really simple. Hey, you can ask anybody, "Hey, what do you want out of life?" And people will be able to give you an answer. And if you were to dig deeper and say, "Okay, why don't you have it?" I think for the most part, you would find there's just not a big enough reason to go get it yet, or to go through the change. We were talking about habits on the last episode, the discomfort of what it's going to take. You're going to have to, rework some things. You're going to have to build some new habits. When the reason is present, you'll find the change to be easy. So as we talk about this topic, I want to tell people, absolutely go through, the vision casting and where do you want to go and where do you see your life going and that kind of thing. And then once you have that written down, spend 3 to 4 times the amount of time on finding out good reasons why you should go do this.
Yeah.
As to what you want to do, and discover that good reason. And when you find it, just like this gentleman in his story, we have another, my wife and I know a gal, and she smoked for a long, long time. Wanted to quit, couldn't quit. Her and her husband got pregnant, quit overnight. Why? The desire was always there, just didn't have a great reason. Until the reason showed up, and then quitting all of a sudden wasn't a problem. I'm not saying it was simple, but that's what happened. So again, it's just another example of the what both of these people wanted in these examples. That was there for a long time. Mm-hmm. They just didn't have a compelling enough reason yet. And we all, right, I mean, I bring up these examples and we all know somebody, either you personally or, for everybody listening, or somebody that's gone through the same thing. Right? Wanted change in their life, had a really hard time making it happen, then got the diagnosis from their doctor, then all of a sudden the change happened. Why? Because the reason was given. My grandpa had he had all these heart surgeries years ago, and he's not with us any longer, but he went into a doctor's office one day, and he ate a certain way his whole life, and the doctor said, "You're not going to eat like this anymore if you want to live 20 more years, right? If you want to hang out with your grandkids." Well, guess who changed his eating habits? My grandpa. And that old saying, right? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, guess what? This old dog learned some new tricks. Why? Mm-hmm. Because the diagnosis said you better learn them or else, right? You're taking a shortcut to your funeral. So, yeah, it's just we're not short on wants. I think in general we're short on great reasons. We're short on compelling reasons. Mm-hmm. So spend some time to find them, and build those into your planning.
And that, he's the son of psychology.
That's 100%.
I mean, that's so good. It's so good. And it's what people need to hear, and it's what people need to be reminded of, and it's what people need to lean into again and again and again. Because, Mike, you at our live events, for the past decade, you have oftentimes come in, and I have named this speech that you give, this talk, because it's so impactful. It's the reason at our live events you always get rated a 5 out of 5 as a speaker, and I always get rated a 4 out of 5 as a speaker. It's because of this one thing, and I've called this. I've learned to call this talk that you give Appleseed to Orchard. And because when the single why shows up, and somebody learns that I can take an action around a single why because the why is great enough and I get the result I want, that decision and that success has a replication ability. And all of a sudden, another decision is made, and then another decision is made. And pretty soon, decisions that are positive and produce results become pretty easy. So Appleseed to Orchard is the process that people go through to start making those decisions and produce orchards of results in all areas of your life. We talked about it categorically, personally and vocationally. And inside of each of those, if you think about them as kind of a wheel, or a pie, there's slices of the pie that are categories. There's categories in your personal life. There's categories in your business or vocation life. And if you start to tick one thing at a time, because the why is big enough, pretty soon you're starting to tick things in all of these little slices of the pie, and your life begins to look like you would want it to be designed. And so it's pretty cool. And I couldn't stop thinking about, as you were telling that story, Mike, and talking about, I couldn't stop thinking about that talk. And I don't know if I've ever told you that before, Appleseed to Orchard, but like in my mind, the way you present it is that. And I want to say this too. If anybody wants to hear Mike give that talk, coming up November 10th, 11th, and 12th, right here in Denver, Colorado, we're going to be holding Mogul Live, Real Estate Mogul live event. And we're doing it here live because we want to rub shoulders with you. We want you to experience what proximity feels like when you're walking up and down the halls of our office. And we're not going to do it here at our office. We don't have enough space for that, for the amount of people that are going to be here. But we're going to do it at a hotel close to our office. And you're going to be for 3 days rubbing shoulders with all of us and seeing what it's like to be in an environment where people have a unified belief system, where there is a committed community, where there's a proven process and a result and outcome that people are shooting for. When you're in a positive mindset environment, when you know where you're going and you're willing to buck the status quo to get there, you get to pick the track. And we're going to walk you through all of our tracks. We're going to walk you through all of the to-do items that you can put in place in your life and in your business to get the results you want. And at the end of the day, total freedom is the goal. Financial freedom, personal freedom, decision freedom, time freedom, the freedom to do what you want with whom you want when you want is the goal of the event. Now, we're going to do one thing. We're going to pour some fuel on the fire, because the process, our freedom formula, is the fire, and it works. And we're going to pour the fuel of how do you get all of the money you need to fund that opportunity at this event. So if you guys want to hear Mike talk from Appleseed to Orchard and put that in place in your life, you need to be at this event. It's freaking going to be awesome. And so if you want to check it out, you can go to realestatemogul.com/live, realestatemogul.com/live. Go grab your tickets and come out and join us. Hang out. It's going to be pretty awesome. So guys, there's my little pitch for our event. But
so Rob, let's make it a big pitch, because and I'm not going to tell the whole Appleseed story on here. You'll have to show up to hear it. But the key to the whole thing is environment. And so here's the deal. In the wrong environment, an apple seed stays an apple seed. In the right environment, it becomes an orchard, and people work in the exact same way. So we talk proximity all the time. It's really the driving factor behind the academy, but it's easy to find people who will tell you that you ain't going nowhere and you can't become anything. That's simple, right? That's the way the world operates for the most part.
That's right.
You have to intentionally seek out good soil to be able to grow. And as humans, we have that ability, right? Geese hang out with geese. Why? Because they're geese. But as people, we can choose what, the influences in our life. We can choose proximity. We can make decisions about it. And I talked about this in one of our challenges. We have the ability to evaluate influences and to say, my life needs less of that. I've made those choices before. These influences could be people, could be podcasts, could be whatever it is. A lot of influences in the world. I've made some decisions. I need less of that, and I need more of this. And we have that ability to not only recognize what the influences are, but then to evaluate them. And then if you could only recognize and evaluate, you'd still remain stuck. Oh, that's a poor influence, but I don't have the power to do anything with it. That's not the human experience. You absolutely have the power to do something about it.
Yeah.
And we can eliminate, we can limit, and we can expand association. And so, you want to get in the right, what's cool about it is you put a seed in the right soil, you don't have to tell it to grow. It'll automatically do it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to show up every morning and say, all right, little buddy, keep growing. The seed will automatically grow, right?
Yep.
And so what we're going to explore in one of my segments at the live event is, what if we did that intentionally? What if we intentionally got into good soil? And obviously, as people, right, you understand the analogy. We don't jump in soil, but our soil are the people and the influences that we let into our life. So
I'll tell you, Mike, like that story that the analogy that you're making, like, speaks to exactly what I observed in that roundtable discussion that you guys had for the academy, right? There was a person that came in there. He's buried himself deep in the soil of our community. And he, within a matter of minutes, presented a deal. He's been taught how to present a deal. So he could present a deal to the community. Within minutes, he had 4 or 5 points of feedback to how to get this deal sold, specific to his environment, backed by data, backed by history of experience. And so, man, you're exactly right about, like, some people are just floating around on the surface, like listening to this podcast, and they haven't yet decided that, hey, this is the field that I want to plant myself in. But there's other people that really are doing that, whether it's in Kickstart or the Academy, or, many other ways that we have available to people to tie in. But man, what a great analogy, Mike. Yeah. Sultan of Psychology hits again.
Here's the deal. It's called R&D, rob and duplicate.
Yeah.
I've just been fortunate to hear from some other people and
right.
some different, and then I, filter it through my experience and then just regurgitate it. But, it's good stuff because it had an impact on me when I first heard it. And then, to have another ability to share it here coming up at the live event, I'm excited for it. So it's good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Rob and duplicate. I thought you were going to say Rob and the Sultan of Psychology.
Yeah, that's a good duo right there.
R&D. Truth isn't new. We just
hit them hard since 2008.
We just learned to word it in different ways or use different examples or something.
Yeah.
Well, we used to do these events, and they were pretty cool. They were implementation events. We called it a build your business event, and maybe we've talked about it here.
Yeah,
on the
you
show
definitely. Yeah, you've talked about the power of them.
But they were so powerful, and they were a true implementation event. I told people, you're going to come here, and this was for somebody who said, I want to get started. I'm not going yet. I have nothing, or I have a little bit of knowledge, and I want to launch. Like I've got enough know-how and belief and commitment to real estate that I'm ready to launch. And we did these events from like 2009, maybe 2008, up through 2018 or 19, probably 2018. So we probably did them for about a decade. And we usually did twice a year. And they were 3-day events. And you would basically walk in with nothing and walk out with a living, breathing business, producing leads, and you'd go home to something that you could go work and produce results. They were such fun events.
And then they went home and they used the blue, what do you call it? The Mike, you just talked in one of the academy trainings about this, and we've talked about it on the podcast. The 4 things you do when you hit the ground.
Oh, the playbook?
The playbook. Sorry, I was thinking blueprint. And
yeah, no worries.
But the playbook, you know, that's like they went home with all that stuff and had a playbook.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what we get to do now. And the reason I bring it up, that's what we get to do inside of the Mogul Academy,
right,
every single week, right? That's what we do walking up and down the halls here in the office with and amongst each other. Hey, I got this deal. I got this lead. I got this thing. What do you think about this? This is how I'm thinking. You know, what's the right deal structure for this? Is it just a straightforward cash offer at a discount, or is there a better opportunity? We get to do that on a regular basis around here. And what we did in those implementation 3-day events to launch, we get to now continue on a regular week after week after week, month after month after month basis, and help people motivate and take the action and grow in their journey towards the ultimate ending result. So it's pretty fun to see.
And I think putting gas on that is getting to the event, like the live
100%.
event in November 10th, 11th, and 12th. Like, get over there, put the gas on what you're doing, and the gas on that proximity.
Yep.
And you know, it can really take your business to another level, I think.
100%. Yep. Well, guys, I think, this was kind of a Q4 looking out the windshield and saying, where are we headed? And the thing I want people to take from this is build your vision. Go build the thing that helps you understand, what do you really want? The why out of the tactical and strategic stuff that you think and talk about all the time. You know, the tools of real estate investing, the strategies of real estate investing. Why do you want those things? And that's what the vision piece does. You know, I've been doing this for 20 years. And a few years ago, about 3 years ago, I was kind of empty nesting. My kids were getting older and they were leaving the nest. So my wife, as a full-time mom, her job sort of ended abruptly, right? And she's like, what do I do? Well, I've been doing vision kind of work for forever. Like, what do I want? And she was a mom. And so we ended up getting into a mastermind group, and a friend of mine who runs this group, I joined it to get my wife around people thinking this way. I wanted her to experience and be exposed to this vision building process. So my friend who runs this group, Sean, he tells this story about the Imagineer, and it's one of the most coveted positions at Disney. And it is a full carte blanche ability to just think and dream and envision, right? So imagine. It's called an Imagineer. And there's no gravity. There's no financial limitation. There's no structural limitation. There's no engineering limitation. There's no concept limitation. There are zero limitations for an Imagineer, because the engineering comes later. And so the role of the Imagineer is to say, we have no limits. What would life be like? What would something be like if we had no limits? So apply the Imagineer role to your vision planning process. Take off the limits, because otherwise people will say, well, I would really like to buy an RV, homeschool my kids, and travel the country. But the engineer in you, the engineering side of you, is going to come in and put limits on that and say, but I can't do that because I have a job, or my wife volunteers at this, or my kids are plugged into soccer, or like there's all of the limitations, or a $1 million motor coach is too expensive, or I don't have enough vacation time, or whatever it is, right? So there's all these engineered limits, and so it prevents people from building their vision. And so in the vision planning process, what you have to do is you have to eliminate constraint, and you have to assume that there are no limits, because now your vision becomes real. Now your vision becomes what you actually want. And so once your vision becomes real, then you say, okay, if that's what I really want out of life, you start to ask the questions, how do I get there in a realistic manner? Mm-hmm. And so maybe it isn't the $1 million motor coach. Maybe a $20,000 pull behind pop-up with the truck you already have does the work, right? Maybe your kids, could be on a traveling soccer team, and you're traveling and they're playing, if you get clear on the vision without constraint, you can engineer later the outcomes you want regardless of those constraints. But if you never eliminate the constraints to build the vision, you'll never get to that place. That's what I want people to take out of this show, is build your vision, cast where you're going, and then start to engineer your life. Live life by design to get there. And when you do, life shows up in fun ways. My wife and I have a marriage slogan. It's simple with flair. And what we try to do is we like to live a relatively simple life. Now, some people might look at our life and say, well, that's not really simple. We like to live a relatively simple life with moments of extreme flair. Now, if you were to ask the two of us, my wife likes the simple and I like the extreme flair, but bringing the two together, it creates magic, and it creates a life by design. And so that's what I want people to take from this show. I hope you guys got something out of it. Here's what I want you to do. If you like this show, would you do us a favor? Would you share it on social media? Would you like it? Would you give us a comment on YouTube? Would you share it on your favorite podcast player? That tells us you're engaged and that it's making a difference. And so with all that being said, guys, thanks for being here again, chatting in the studio and talking about some fun stuff. We'll see you guys all in the next one. Cheers.
See ya.
Later.